Mm. Refreshing. Refreshing. Delicious. What up? It is I. How we doing today, guys? What's going on? Hey, what's going on, Profilo? You're first today, indeed, indeed, indeed. Interesting. What's going on, Jet? How you doing? Hey, Casanova. Philip is first mod today. That's good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Fish Army right behind. Welcome, welcome. How we doing today? I know I'm not as early as my European audience would prefer, but I am here for everybody else, I guess. How we doing today? Go ahead, ask me questions. You guys already know what I'm here for. Already know why I come on these lives, to help answer questions and do some other cool J stuff. So let's get it. It's a hair transplant, insecure. Even if it is, who cares? Do it. It's okay. Get it done. If it's that big a deal to you, if you feel like it'll help to boost your confidence, get it done. Who cares? Let's see. Philip got like crazy Wi-Fi. It's funny. Sure. Let's see. Matt, it's 11:33 in the UK. You're good. Okay, cool. I'm happy. At least you guys aren't. It's not too late over there. I can at least be the last voice you hear before you go to sleep. I'm okay with that. Do you prefer game questions or spiritual questions? Either. I'm decently proficient in both, so it's all good, baby. It's all fine. Oluwadeji. When did I start getting called Deji? That's interesting. You've returned. Praise the Lord. I not exercise my succubus X with game. So, explain to me what happened with the X, though, by the way. I want to know. What happened there? How did that go down? How did that happen? How did that go down? Let's see. No, I mean on the backhand, why do you want to do it? To do what? Like, game or spiritual questions? I don't know. Is that what you mean? I don't know if that's what you mean. 12:30 midnight in Germany? Okay, cool. Not too late there. Onk, my ops stay bullying me. Should I up the switch? No. No, don't do that. Please don't. Bullying builds character anyway, so be grateful for your bullies. They give you the opportunity to learn to stand up for yourselves, right? If you didn't have bullies or any kind of person that tried to abuse their power over you, then you never got the opportunity to learn how to stand up for yourself, right? So bullies are important. Be grateful for them. As weird as that sounds, be grateful for them, you know? By the way, I've been thinking about the back end a lot. That's good. How do you react to the small bits of disrespect to prevent the bigger ones? When it comes to girls, you stop it in its tracks. At some point when you're dealing with a woman, she's gonna do something that's gonna show like a lack of respect for your authority or your competence or just your input in her life in general. She's going to say something that attacks your identity aggressively or something you believe in strongly, whatever. Your job is to let her know that if she does that again, then there will be no relationship again. And it has to happen soon and it has to happen early, because if you don't check it then, it'll just continue to happen. That's just women for you. They don't have the discipline to self-regulate. at least not in the beginning. So you have to give them that discipline. You have to regulate them for themselves and then teach them how to do it for themselves as they go. You feel me? When is the book coming out? It won't be called the Jace Method, but give it a few more months. I have to really like put my foot in that, you know. I don't want to put out something that's half-baked. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a bit of a perfectionist. It's not a good thing because it does mean I procrastinate a lot with a lot of important things. But it also means that when I do have the confidence to put it out, that, you know, it's something I can actually proudly put my name behind, you know. The book is good as is, but it's not finished in my opinion. There's still a few things that need to be done. So give me some time. Is it just don't react at all? It depends on the level of disrespect you're getting. In the beginning, when you're getting to know a girl in the beginning, it's better to not react. But if you become something consequential, like when she's your girlfriend, when she's now incorporated into your life, it's very important you let her know what behaviors you don't allow, like very early on. Because one, you nip it in the bud very early, but two, it gives her a precedent for how she has to behave around you going forward, you know. The last two videos you posted with the glasses are actually hilarious and goated. Appreciate you, thank you. Let's see, Paulie, I'm considering to buy your course, but online purchase is not allowed in my country. What country is that, by the way? I'm very curious. So simply telling them don't do that again will do the job. It's not just telling them don't do that again. Tell them why they can't do that again. You know, that way they know why it's important that they don't do that again. If you just tell them don't do that again, sure, you can just go off of that, you know, just that masculine presence. But I like to tell my girls why they shouldn't do something again, because then it makes more sense why they shouldn't. You know, give them a solid reason, like a good philosophy behind it. That way they know why they shouldn't. Don't do this again because I'll resent you, and we don't want a relationship where we resent each other, right? Don't do that again because it'll make me lose respect for you in return. It'll kill the attraction I have for you because you seem more masculine when you do this. It'll create a rift between us in a way that it can't be repaired later. Or not even with time. Like, literally give them a solid reason behind why they shouldn't do that again. That's what makes it, like, more real for them, you know? Life can be simple at times. It can be. The 48 laws of Jace. Nah, won't be that many laws. Should it be playful or serious? When you're trying to stop him from doing something that you don't want him to do again, it's best to not be playful. If you're playful, then you kind of, you know, you remove the power from it. If you're serious, you let them know that it's something that you take seriously and therefore they should take seriously. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't worth getting married anymore. Unfortunately, that's true, but understand it's not because marriage itself is a bad thing or that marriage is evil or you know, not good. It's because it's been made that way. The powers that be have gone out of their way to make marriage as unattractive as possible for both men and women, so less people get married. And it's all, you know, I can get into like the satanic agenda in detail, but it's all part of the satanic agenda. The less people get married, the less kids there are, the less copulation there is, the less, you know, people come together to achieve goals together, which, by the way, is the entire point of human existence, right? Is to be able to create a team and accomplish mutually benefiting goals, you know? So when you take away marriage from the equation, then you really can't do any of that. It's all satanic. Let's see. What's the book title? You'll know when I let you know. Hey, your last video is great. What happened? Why is it wrong? And how to deal with it? Which video are we talking about? The one where I talk about the guy that gets yelled at the airport. So for those of you that don't know what the video we're talking about is, I made a video on the commentary of a video that I suspect is going to start going viral a little bit throughout the internet, but it's a video of a guy getting yelled at by his girlfriend in the airport. and she's raining abuses on him, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs that she knows she hates him and he's a loser, all those things. At one point in the middle of the video, some random chick in the background begins to laugh loudly, and she addresses that chick too and calls her a weirdo. It's very funny. But my entire analysis of that video is it's all the guy's fault. I mean, you guys already know me. It's always the man's fault anyway. But the two specific reasons it's his fault is, one, he allowed her to get comfortable giving him that level of disrespect. If a woman is comfortable enough to spaz out on you in public, that tells me that she's gotten away with doing something like that in private many, many, many times before. That's why they have the confidence to do that in public, because they've done it in private before and they got away with it. That's one. Two, she's not yelling at him for no reason. He is incompetent. Like, to get into the details of the video, they were supposed to meet a flight. They missed the flight because of his incompetence, right? So he made them late somehow. That's his fault too. That is his incompetence. And you can't be surprised when a woman panics and loses her marbles when she finds out that the man she's with, that the man she's supposed to be, looking up to for her guidance, her leadership, her protection, is a fucking bum. That's what's supposed to happen. She's supposed to spaz out. She's supposed to panic. She's supposed to come to that painful realization of like, oh, the man I'm with isn't someone that is competent enough to, feel safe around. That's what happens when women don't feel safe. They start taking it out on men in different weird ways. And one of them just happens to be yelling at him in public at the top of her lungs, So yeah, that's the entire point of it. To stop that, one, be a competent man. Actually learn how to lead correctly. Be a man whose yes is your yes and whose no is your no. Be a man who has discipline. Discipline is like the biggest part of leadership. You cannot lead anyone if you don't have the ability to lead yourself correctly, which is what discipline is. Discipline is the ability to give yourself instructions and follow them through. It's the ability to say yes to discomfort just as long as you can say no to pleasure. Right? It's easy to give other people discipline when you have discipline yourself. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see. Favorite watch in the collection. The book title, nah. And the way the guy didn't look at her, that was shame. Yes, if you notice in the video, the guy goes out of his way to not look. Like, yeah, exactly. Let's see. Oh, what's going on, San Andreas? How you doing? Is being a protector being the same thing as psychological position over her? It's not quite the same, but it gives you psychological position over her for sure. It gives you natural psychological position over her because she knows you're a risk taker, and she knows you're not scared to offend her or disagree with her, which automatically makes you the kind of person whose validation she needs to chase. Set for today's like goal. I don't know. How many likes we got right now? Almost 600. Appreciate you guys so far. Get it to 2K, I guess. 2K likes and we're set. 48 Laws of Power. Best thing I ever listened to. Highly recommend. It's a very good book. It's a very, very good book. How to tell if a chick is disciplined, like Leila Hormozi. Is it the gym, body, money, or grades? I would say it's a combination of all those things. Because, discipline finds a way to spill into different things in your life. If you're disciplined in one area of your life, you're usually disciplined in other areas of your life. Right? Which is why people that have their lives go to shit, they'll all tell you the same story about how one thing went away and then the other thing and then the other thing, and then the next thing you know, they spiraled all the way downwards. Right? So discipline is like an upward trajectory. Discipline in one area somehow bleeds into other areas. So if she's disciplined in one area and she's hyper disciplined in one area, there's a good chance she's disciplined in other areas. Like, let's take Leila Hormozi for example. Before her and Alex met and they started like making a lot of money together, if you listen to what Alex talks about, or both of them telling stories about when they first met, it's very clear that both of them were gym freaks before they even like started making money together. Alex was the Mr. I'ma get as big and as lean as possible in a shorter period of time guy, right? He was always into physical fitness and personal training and all that stuff. Actually, he was already running a few gyms before he met her, I believe. And then she was a sales rep in, I can't remember the name of the gym, but it's like a Planet Fitness type of gym. And, you know, if you know anything about being a sales rep in a gym, then you can't do that job without looking a certain way, right? So, even if you even look at like old pictures of her, she's always like looked really fucking ripped. She's always been damn near a bodybuilder, right? A female bodybuilder. So, yeah, discipline in one area is gonna translate very easily into discipline in other areas, and that's why I keep telling you guys not to pedestalize hot women. Don't do that, obviously. But if she is like disciplined with her looks, and yes, being beautiful as a woman does require some discipline with their looks, right? If she is disciplined in that area, then it's gonna translate very well in other areas of her life, and that's something you should look out for. You know. Thoughts on Supercell, also the new season of The Mole. So I haven't seen a new season of The Mole. I literally just got done with the first season of The Mole. As for Supercell, I've made a video about it, but TikTok, like, is still reviewing it, and it's been reviewing it for 3 days now. It's the most annoying thing ever. It's literally there on my account. It's still visible in visible to me anyway. It's not visible to anyone else, obviously, but I've already told like my dissertation on Supercell. I don't know, maybe I'll try to re-upload it on a different speed or something so TikTok doesn't flag it for, you know, unoriginality or whatever, but I've already made that video. I'll figure out how to re-upload it later. Psychological positioning is basically everything you do and say that puts you above her, right? Essentially, yeah. It's the things you do and say around her that make her perceive you as someone whose validation is valuable. Not to sound redundant, but yeah. I'll boost the likes. Appreciate that. Oh, we're already past 2K. Damn. Thank you. Appreciate that. Once you said it's better to get full compliant 6 or 7. Get a full, is that what you mean? Get a fully compliant 6 or 7 than a 10. Who's kind of who don't respect you sometimes. Why is this conclusion? Or okay, let me put that in a different way so people understand what you just said. I did say that it's better to get a fully compliant 6 or 7 over a non-compliant 10, and the conclusion is very simple. It's very, very simple. And in fact, let me put it like this. Let me ask it to you in a question. What the fuck are you gonna do with a 10 that doesn't listen to you? Yeah, she's a 10, but she doesn't listen to you. Where's the value in that? She doesn't listen to you. She's a liability, not an asset at all. Right? All the benefits of being with a 10, you can't access because she's not going to comply. Right? Or at the very least, maybe she complies, but not often. It's like, I call it like, for those of you that are fans of the Pokemon series, right? If you watch Pokemon growing up as a kid, remember when Ash Ketchum had a defiant Charizard that he would bring out from time to time, and the Charizard would just like obey him sometimes or not obey him sometimes. Like he'd blast fire in his face whenever he felt like it. Remember how frustrated Ash was with trying to deal with that Charizard? Like, damn, I got a powerful Pokemon, it's a fire-breathing dragon, but I can't even guarantee myself to win in every fight because this Pokemon just refuses to listen to me sometimes. That's what it's like being with a woman, like not just a 10, with any woman that doesn't listen to you. It's a fucking useless endeavor. It's useless. So yes, I'd rather a 6 or a 7 that listens to me all the time than the most beautiful woman in the world that only listens to me half of the time. That's completely useless. You feel me? I mean, shit, look at Will Smith's life. You know? If you want a real life example of that, there you go. Jada Pinkett Smith, before she went bald, was legitimately one of the most beautiful black women on this planet. But look how much suffering and pain she caused Will Smith, right? Because that's how much suffering and pain is in store for you when you choose to have a woman that doesn't listen to you in your life. It's a terrible idea. What's going on, Kay? How's it going? I've missed you in a few lives, bro. How you doing, man? I'm texting a girl that's still imprinted by a guy. Oh, thanks for the A gift, King Henry. I appreciate that, man. I'm texting a girl that's still imprinted by a guy. I'm up for the challenge, so what would you advise? Ooh. What kind of imprint are we talking about here, though? Are we talking about a guy that's literally still in the picture somehow, or just a guy that she just can't get over? What are we talking about? Let me know. Appreciate you for the likes again, guys. Thank you so much. I think that dealing with guys and girls that value looks not so much is great, but it's better to already have it in you than meet other people. Okay, I'm not sure what that exactly means, but okay, maybe don't hang out with people that are only ever obsessed with their looks and their entire personality is their looks. That's not useful either. But all I'm saying is the look of a person, maybe not like, their genetics, but just the fact how much effort they put into looking good or looking well tells you a lot about that person. Does that make sense? If they don't even have the discipline to present themselves correctly for the world, then they probably don't have the discipline in other areas of their life. Does that make sense? I feel like all these things in game are there to make our validation more valuable and intense. Literally, that's the whole point of game in general, is to make it so that your validation means more to her than every other guy's. That's the whole point. What conspiracy theory scares you the most? I don't know if any one of them scare me. I've just accepted all of them as, it is what it is. I don't even know if I believe in conspiracy theories. I know shit and I don't know shit. That's about it. I don't know if a lot of the things I believe in, as far as I'm concerned anyway, really aren't conspiracies, because I can find evidence for all of them. Does that make sense? That's why I sound crazy to a lot of people, but I really don't think of them as conspiracies. I just know them to be true. Like someone was telling me the other day about like how the U.S. government back in the 1700s made a deal with a certain entity. Let's call it that, right? And he was telling it to me like it's something I would be like surprised by, and I'm like, first of all, I've already heard about that. Second of all, the evidence is all around you. If you're paying attention, if you're looking closely enough, it's very clear whose hand America is in. Like the country itself, the structure, and the way it works, and the energy that it continues to feed into. It's very obvious. So that's not a conspiracy for me. It's just common sense, But we can get into conspiracy theories that are scary in general. I think for most people would find scary. I think there's certain things I can tell you about how things work that just would make you have sleepless nights and nightmares for sure. If you want to get into that. Hey Jace, I like the direction I'm going, even though I need to take action in terms of being a man. Front end and back end. Front end look, back end most important. Manly mindset as a protector. That's not a bad way to look at it. The front end, you can't boil the front end down to just looks though. The front end has everything to do with not just looks, but like charisma, confidence, flirting, tension creation, the ability to withstand tension yourself. The front end isn't just like, yeah, it's shorter than the back end, but that in itself has a lot to do with skill. There's a lot of skill involved in that. So there's a lot to, look at there, What's going on, King Henry? How you doing? What's going on, E Onyx? What's good, Jace? How do you get a curiosity girl to invest specifically at work? What do you mean by curiosity girl? I've never heard that term before. Like a girl that's curious about you? Is that what you mean? If she's curious about you, that's already half the battle won. Just use her curiosity to get more compliance out of her so that she can learn more about you. Also, what is she curious about specifically? Let's figure that out. Listening to you, Zerka, Patrice, gotta be honest, to long videos, but if I learn anything, sure, that's a good mix. So do you have ideas of how to improve the 6 or 7 to a 10? Discipline. I keep telling you guys, the difference between a 7 and a 10 is just discipline. The reason girls are 7s is because they are not willing to put in the work and go through the pain that is involved with becoming a 10. That's really it. You know, it's the new lifestyle she has to live, the new habits she has to take on. Usually around like dieting, exercise, going to the gym, stuff like that. But the upkeep, the routine, the maintenance, the amount of money she now has to spend to focus in on making sure those parts of herself are up to par or ideal, you know? That's really the difference between a 7 and a 10. It's just this discipline. So the idea or the art of making a girl go from a 7 to a 10 is just transferring to her the discipline that you have. If you don't have it, by the way, you can't give it. So it's all about just the transference of discipline. It's a guy that reaches out to her like once per month and she can't forget about him. So yeah, he's kind of in the picture. Okay. With regards to the girl that's being imprinted, okay, cool. You gotta beat that guy at his own game. If she's telling you that he only reaches out to her once a month and that's what she responds to, then guess how long you should be waiting to reach out to her. Your time should become even more scarce and more valuable than that guy's. That's how it should be. Maybe not in the beginning, but that's what you should be shooting for. Right? In the beginning, especially since you haven't because there's still a lot of things you haven't done that guy has done, like the bare minimum. You probably haven't had sex with this girl yet. And you'd be wasting your time trying to get your time to be as valuable as his if you haven't gotten to at least to that point. So at least get to that point first, then begin to redistribute your time correctly so that she begins to see your validation as more valuable. You know? What's something you wish more guys knew? I wish more guys understood that trying to have things in common with women or saying things that are socially acceptable to women isn't what gets them wet. If they can understand that, like just that one thing, it'll create a domino effect that'll change their lives and their thinking around women forever. I don't even need to tell guys to do other things or understand other things if I can get them to understand that one thing. The guys that you see getting bashed in public, by women no less, right? They're the guys, we are the guys getting fucked in private. Like really get that through your head. Understand that shit. You think I'ma just tell this girl everything she wants to hear and I'm gonna repeat back to society what society accepts of me to, like, oh, I'm this nice and inclusive person and I just love everybody and da-da-da. The women you want are repulsed by that kind of talk. The women you want don't want you to be inclusive. Because inclusive people are people that anyone can have access to. And the women you want are essentially unattainable. And the only people that they fuck with are unattainable too. Once you understand that, oof, life becomes so easy. Life becomes, it's something about a man that has a core, that has a spine, right? That can hold his own and have his identity without bending to the will of other people of the world. It's very attractive, and that's something most men just don't understand because they don't see the physical evidence for it, right? Because you gotta understand, even me saying it like this right now, there's probably one or two guys listening to me right now that's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to be the guy that speaks against social norm and says something that might be controversial to most, but I'll stand by it. And then guess what those guys will do? They'll say the thing or do the thing, whatever it is. They'll see the backlash that comes with it. The other people in the world telling them, you're fucked up, you're wrong, you're this, you're that, you should apologize for what you just said or did. They'll see that wave of resistance come their way. And then, because they're bitches, right? They have no spine, they have no core. They don't have the ability to stand firm in their own. They'll go, Jason was wrong. I can't believe I almost fell for, I almost entered his cult or whatever the fuck they accuse me of these days, right? I can't believe I almost got scammed. I almost fell for his cult. I became a social recluse and followed his incel ideology or whatever the fuck they tell themselves, and then they revert back to the little bitch they were, the bitch that society wanted them to be. And then they'll go on like that, and then wonder why all the bad things in relationships happen to them, why they get cheated on, why they get chosen up on all those other things. But what they don't know, yeah, Jace deceived me, right? But what they don't know is that if they just stand firm in that identity a little longer, just a little longer, what happens on the other side of all that backlash is a lot of pussy waiting for you. That's what happens. That's really what, like, in reality, a lot of the women, I'm probably saying too much now, because I don't want to expose anybody, but you'd be surprised how many of your favorite feminist women, right, the women who have these set of beliefs and this way of thinking about things, and they would never be with a guy that thinks a certain way, they're sucking our dicks. Yeah, in fact, they're easier to get than regular women, honestly. Like, I'm telling you, I'm trying to make you understand this. You probably won't listen, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Once you understand that, your life becomes so much easier. So much easier. And then you get all that backlash and resistance you get, you begin to become happy when you get it, because you realize, oh, what's on the other side, right? But, you know, hey, thanks for the gifts, by the way, guys. Like, is that a gift that's named Let Him Cook? That's fucking awesome. And, you know, very well timed, right? That's the perfect gift to give at this time. Indeed, let me cook, indeed. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. A lot of men just don't get that. A lot of men are too fucking pussy. They don't understand that. They don't understand how attractive being authentic to who you are is to women. Because, you know, you don't believe these things, right? We can go, I don't want to go too crazy because, you know, TikTok, you know, likes to suspend me from time to time. But we all know we don't give a fuck about Israel or Palestine. We all know this. We all know we don't care. We don't give a shit. I saw a video of two creators going at it now. It's one guy that sells gold and another guy that's, I think he's Nigerian too. He looks Nigerian at least. But yeah, they're going at it. One is accusing him of selling blood diamonds, and the other is accusing him of not doing it. Like, he's trying to, you know, tell the world he doesn't sell blood diamonds. Who fucking cares? No one gives a fuck about those kids mining in Africa. They don't care. Nobody cares. And both the guy that's exploiting the kids and the guy that's trying to protect or save those kids, neither of them give a fuck about them either, because if they did, then there's a lot of things they could do to actually save those kids. But I digress. It's just a bunch of inauthentic people trying to pretend like they care about shit they know they don't care about. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, yeah, man, I've been asleep the last few lives. Glad I made this one. Oh, I'm happy, man. I'm happy. Welcome, Kay. Welcome. Yeah, I think that most bodybuilders are kind of provider. I mean, we all go through the moment we want to be strong, but only way is to fight, not bodybuilding muscles. So in short, the bodybuilding, they go to bodybuilding because they're afraid of getting punched. I feel like that's something Tate said at one point, and he's not wrong when he says that. At the same time, though, it's like bodybuilding is hard. Let's not, you know, shit on that. Bodybuilding is very difficult. It's very difficult. The way these guys treat themselves and how meticulous they have to be. One thing I know about all bodybuilders that I know personally, they're very meticulous dudes, man. They're very thorough about everything they do. They weigh their food, they count their calories, they're concerned about like the calorie count of everything they eat. How much sugar is in it, how much protein is in it, how many eggs did I have today. Like, they're very meticulous motherfuckers. I can appreciate that about them. But you do have a point though, and Tate too has a point though when they say instead of being dangerous, they go out of their way to look dangerous instead. There's a truth to that. I have a family member, I'm not going to say which one, that literally had that trajectory. I have a family member that tried MMA. At least he tried. You know, he's a gangster for trying. He got his ass whooped bad. But then, like, literally the very next month, he's on his natural bodybuilding shit. Like, he just quit fighting and is like, I'm a bodybuilder now. And again, I commend him for actually getting into the octagon and finding out who he is. You know, most people don't even have the balls to do that. But there's a level of tension and anxiety that comes with fighting that most people just can't handle. So, yeah, if you don't know how to fight, for most people, the next natural step, if you don't want to learn how to fight, if you don't want to go through that hard process, is to just look as intimidating as possible, so people don't mess with you. And it works, by the way, because most people can't fight. You know, so for people that can't fight, which is most people, the bigger you are, the more intimidating you are. Big deal. Delta girl responded, cussing me out. Ooh, I like that. Hey, I'm sorry. The rest of you won't understand that. Me and Kay have a little thing going on. But yeah, I told you she would respond later, right? Didn't I? That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now we just got to turn her hate into love. It's going to be very easy. Don't worry, I'm going to hit you up on IG. We'll talk about that. We'll flesh that out completely. Okay? Let's see. We do want to get into that. Oh, into like the things about the world that scare people. We can talk about that. What you guys want to talk about? Let's put a direction on it. So I don't, you know, I don't want to shotgun the thing. I want to snipe it. So you guys give me a focus. What thing are you the most curious about? And if I know about it, I'll talk about it. I don't talk about things I don't know about, right? She thinks you're the hit and run type because you're better than her. Pretty much. That's it. You just said it in like the best way possible. Shout out to Pinto. Shout out to Nathan Pinto. How you been, by the way? But yeah, when they believe that you can do better, they believe that you will do better. And by the way, the reason women think like that is because that's how they think. That's women logic, like 101. That's hypergamy, right? That's what we talk about when we talk about hypergamy. Hypergamy, if you want to call it that. But women believe that when a guy is too far better than them, he's going to leave them. And the reason they think that is because that's what they would do to a guy in a heartbeat. So you could almost call it a guilty conscience. You feel me? Super down for the conspiracy theories. All right, let's get it. Let's get focused in on what you guys want to hear. Since you finished the first season of The Mole, how would you utilize the game to win the competition, depending on if you were a player or the mole? Okay, so I've been thinking about that extensively, right? If I were the player, the only way to do that, honestly, because here's the thing, right? I'm not gonna lie. When me and my girl were watching it, because we had watched Perfect Match before that point, because me and my girl were on like a fucking marathon, right? When it comes to reality TV shows, I'm doing like an entire series of stuff where I'm, you know, going through TV shows and reviewing them and putting out for you guys, right? So we're going through all of them. We watched the Perfect Match season 2 before we watched The Mole, and in the Perfect Match season 2, we heard that what's his name? Shit, I forget his name. The one white dude that looks like Thor, the guy that won the Mole season 1, right? We heard he won the show, and that he had beef with Dom. Dom, by the way, he's a TikToker, so he's kind of popular here. So me and my girl incorrectly assumed that he was the mole. So we watched that entire first season of The Mole assuming he was the mole. You know, and we kind of threw ourselves off because of that. But, you know, he did win the show, but he wasn't the mole. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it turns out the girl that was the mole was kind of obviously the mole. She was incompetent the entire way. Everything she did, it was so clear she was trying her best to sabotage everything. So it makes no sense that no one caught on faster that she was the mole. That's one. Two, I mean, she was literally sabotaging missions from the very first mission. Remember when she was on the rope trying to get like the red box out of the thing? It was so obvious even back then she was like sabotaging everything. So it doesn't make sense no one could catch on to that. But if I were the mole, I would wait till maybe the third or fourth mission is to properly start sabotaging shit. You want to go out of your way to help the team the first 3 missions. Right? That way, in fact, you want to build a reputation for being the guy that helps the most and makes the most decisions, the best decisions. And you almost want to come out as a leader. Right? When you have that reputation, then when you start sabotaging in the back, people can just overlook it as an off day. He's just a little bit incompetent there, no big deal. We know he has our best interest in mind, blah blah blah, right? That's if I was the mole. That's how I would play it. I would just alternate between weeks of high competence and low competence. If I wasn't the mole and I had to figure out who the mole was, that's where shit becomes risky. Because the real problem is at the end of each mission, there's a quiz that's taken. And the answers you give either make you closer to... If you know fewer things about the mole than the other people taking the quiz, you get kicked out, right? So my strategy there would just be, make sure I'm not answering the question in a way that I'm focusing too much on one person. I would spread my answers across. Like, they ask you, what eye color is the mole? What hair color is the mole? How tall is the mole? Is the mole male or female? I would just go crazy with those answers. That way I stay afloat. And then towards the end, I would obviously have to, like, figure out who the fucking mole is. But up until that point, it would just be fucking staying afloat and not focusing too much on one person. That's how I would play it. That's how I would play it. Is giving game advice to guys in front of girls a great game move? Like, controversial game? Giving game advice in front of girls is just a dick move on your part. Because, no. Why are you doing that? Like, you're talking to a guy and there's a girl watching that he wants. Okay, if it's a girl that he doesn't want, maybe it's a girl you want, or it's already established that you and the guy that you and the girl are to some degree already together, that's one thing. That's different. But if it's a girl he wants, don't tell him how to get the girl he wants in front of her. That's a dick move. Because all that does is make you look like a leader. And now it'll make the girl he wants want you more. Does that make sense? And again, that's just a dick move. You should be his wingman, not his fucking cock block, So keep that in mind. I fix things at work and she's curious about how I think. I can just take apart things and I find out what's wrong, build it back up. Oh, okay, I see. If that's the case, she's just curious about what you do and how you think. So I wouldn't limit myself to just work. I would begin to tell her about how I think about things outside of work, things that are more esoteric, if you will, things that require her to be more introspective, things that require you to talk about things that are far outside of the confines of just what you do for a living. Does that make sense? Begin to talk about things that would even interest her. Stuff like, what most girls like to talk about, like spirituality, like astrology, like, all those kinds of things. Women are very drawn to the mythical and the unknown. So keep that in mind. Since she's curious about how you think about things in general, right? What's the difference between a 7 and a 10 for guys? Is this still discipline? Can you break it down? Yeah, it's literally just discipline. For guys, it's just discipline. For girls, it's just discipline. The difference between, like, attractiveness and unattractiveness only have one line that separates them, and that line is discipline. That's really it. It's just discipline. Everything that makes you attractive to a woman is discipline. They don't know that. They don't realize that, but that's what they want. It's discipline and experience. For men, it's the other way around, right? It's discipline, right? So there you go. What do I do if she doesn't text back for a day? Does she not care, or is she trying to act like she doesn't? Okay. Who is this girl to you? A girl that you're already dating consequentially, or just some girl you've met for the first time? Let's start with that, because the answer is different depending on the level of investment you have in the girl. Does that make sense? Jay, so people really blame you? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. You'd be surprised. You can't blame those people, though. It's most people are bitches, man. Like, most people have no backbone. So it's easier to live a life of just stay under the radar and just repeat back to people what they want to hear and be relatable. You ever heard that term? I was talking about this to someone recently. He was like, the new thing on social media is authenticity. People like authenticity. No, they fucking don't. Most people can't even identify authenticity if they were to look at it in the face. What people like is relatability, and there's a difference. They like things in people that remind them of themselves. That's what being relatable is, right? Because if I were to tell you, oh, I just love eating eba in the morning, most of you don't know what the fuck that means because you're not Nigerian, so you can't relate to that. So you're not gonna like it. You see what I'm talking about? Even though that is authentically, okay, maybe I don't eat eba in the morning, but I mean, for a long time in my life, I did do that. So yeah, that is authentically me. That is an authentic part of my experience as a human being. As a human being that grew up in Nigeria. You feel me? So what people think is authentic is really just a repetition of something that they like to see and say all the time. Right? It's relatability. And we like to confuse authentic for relatable, and it's not the same thing. So it's easier to live in this world when you just give people back what they want to see. That's it. That's really it. I'm always super cocky with girls because it's fun, but is it really that beneficial? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's you. Because you like it. Because it's fun. It's very beneficial. You know, not a lot of girls are gonna like it, but trust me, the girls that like cocky guys are the hottest ones anyway. The only girls that think it's a bad thing for a guy to be cocky are the girls that can't keep up with a guy that's that confident. Because that's all cocky is. Cocky is just confidence on steroids. The only girls that don't like hyper confident guys, right? The only girls that don't like hyper confident guys are girls that know they can't keep the attentions of that kind of guy. Because the more confident you are, the hotter the girl you can get. And girls know that already, by the way, right? They're very painfully aware of that. So if you go to a 7 and you're hyper confident, she's going to know intuitively, he can get a 10. I can't hang with that. So she's going to find a way to auto-reject you or preemptively reject you. You feel me? I was diagnosed with autism as a kid. I just think I enjoy learning things. Good. That's actually a very important thing you have there, is that you can hyper focus and fixate on stuff for a long period of time, which I will never understand why we treat autism like it's some kind of debilitating disease. Autistic motherfuckers have a massive advantage over everybody else, and it's not even funny. You can literally hyper fixate on anything until you figure it out top to bottom. Like, you can dedicate your life essentially to one thing at a time. That's fucking awesome. You have a higher learning rate than everybody else. That's a good thing. So explain that to her and let her know that that's how your mind works. Like, she's clearly fascinated by how your mind works. So let her know how it works. She'll be fascinated. But it's so important. It causes arguments with parents. Might even end friendship because they can't handle your honesty and more stuff like that. But it feels even worse inside when I'm not being myself. Exactly. You want to get to the point where the pain of not being yourself is greater than the pain of the backlash you get from being yourself. That's what you want. You want to, and really sit with this, by the way. You want to get to the point where it's like, I feel disgust with myself when I don't say something I know I want to say, or I don't do something I know I want to do, or I stifle myself, right? You want to feel disgust every time you stifle yourself in any way, right? It's a good way to live. Thanks again for all the likes, guys. I appreciate that. So how can us guys have a core? Very simple. You listen to it. You listen to it. Every time you do something, and I really believe this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I really believe this. Every time you do something that you know deep down you don't want to do, you feel that in your body. You feel that in your being. You feel like, ugh, I did something that compromises my values. You feel that. You feel that disgust. You feel it. For some, it's greater than others, and unfortunately, a lot of weak men today have learned how to ignore that gut feeling, but we all have that. We all have that. We all know we should have said this one thing or that one thing in that argument. We all know we should have done this particular thing in that particular situation. We all know. Deep down, we all know. Oh, thanks for the origami. Appreciate that. How do you approach a girl that's taller than you? You make her feel like her height is not a problem for you. The only problem with approaching women taller than you, if you want to call it a problem, is the attitude you have around the height difference. If you let her know that her height is not a problem to you, then you set the frame. That way, it's no longer I'm tall enough for you. It's you're just right for me. And literally say that to tall women. Like, look up at her, and you're probably looking up at her, right? Because she's taller. Look up at her and be like, listen, if you were any taller than that, you'd be too tall for me, but you're right at my cutoff. Literally say that to them. Literally. Let's see. Oil up, bro. That's funny. It's socially acceptable to care. Exactly. To care for shit that you don't really care about, you know? What's a Palestine is funny. Jason, I understand what you say. I really don't care about a lot of stuff going on in the world. Exactly. And you shouldn't. Why should you? Shouldn't get, like, there's so much stuff to care about in your own life. So much improvement that needs to be made there. I'm really gonna give a fuck about a war that's been going on for thousands of years? No. I don't give a shit. I refuse to indulge in that mental masturbation of trying to make myself feel better than other people by acting like I have moral superiority over them. I don't give a fuck. I don't. If it's not affecting me or my people, exactly, it doesn't matter. Let's see, how to be more authentic. Stop doing things or saying things you don't care for or don't resonate with or don't value, you know? Authenticity, like, it's not hard to be authentic. It's not hard to start living as honestly as you want to live. The hard part of it is the backlash you get for it, is the people that'll come out and try to stifle you and tell you, you can't do that, you can't say that, right? In reality, these people are just envious that you can do something that they can't, right? So don't worry about those people. But that's the only hard part of it. Like, if I told you, get naked and run through the streets, the only thing that would realistically stop you from doing that is what other people can think or might think about it. That's, like, really think about that. If I were to tell you, go out, get butt ass naked and run through the street, any street of your choice, as long as it's a busy street, the only thing really stopping you from doing that is what other people might think. What other reason is there really? Oh, there's gonna be like a bacteria that might go into your dick hole. Like, that's not real. Oh, what if someone does something, or that's not real either, because they're gonna be too shocked to see a naked guy running to do anything about it. What other fear is there of you doing something like that than just the opinion of other people? And that's it, right? Like, that's the secret of being authentic, is when you realize the only, like, if the only reason stopping you from doing something is the fact that other people might, like, say something bad about it or look down on it, then that's not enough of a reason. Now, am I saying that you running through the streets naked is authentically you? Probably not. I don't know, maybe some of you, who knows. I know some people like being nudist, do your thing, whatever. But yeah, just start picking out every little decision you make in your life. Every little decision, right? Are you telling yourself that you don't do that particular thing because of who you are or how you present yourself in society? Or is it just because you're scared of what people might say, right? Wear that hat. Wear those glasses. Get that piercing. Get that tattoo. Walk around barefoot. Like, literally, you don't have to be naked, but walk around barefoot. Grow out your hair or completely cut it off. Or shave your eyebrows. Like, who's really gonna stop you except the voices in your head? You see what I'm saying? How do you distinguish emotional impulses from true, authentic desires? Very simple. Time. Emotional impulses and true desires, authentic desires, the real difference between them is if you still have those desires after the first time you thought about them. Like, the time that passes between. That's it. Find yourself in a different emotional state or a different mindset, and then see if you still want those things. If you don't want them anymore, probably just impulses, ignore them, right? If you still want them and you can still see like the long-term benefits to them, then yeah, it's probably something you truly desire. Yeah, feel me? Let's see. The government cares. The government cares. Bro, I bodybuild, man. Shit ain't easy and train hard. Want to fight in the future. Yeah, go ahead. Get to fighting. Get to fighting. It's important. I really want to try and fight MMA or boxing, etc. For the back end, it's deeper than only getting punched. It's way deeper than that. Yeah, it's way deeper than just getting punched. It's like, it's an entire philosophy you're exposed to when you have to defend yourself against another man. You know? I texted a very good-looking girl with a push-pull. You're very cute, but you're giving me a little drama queen vibes. She said, maybe I'm both. Oh, that's cute. That's good. That's not a bad thing. She's going along with your frame. She just accepted your frame. That's not bad. It's not a bad thing. So the only things authentic to us are what we desire in every state. Yeah. Essentially. When you are on the spot, you know who you are. Literally. You don't know what kind of person you are until you have to deal with tension and pain, and physical pain all at the same time. That's when you really figure out what kind of man you are. It's important. She keeps talking about this other girl she saw me chilling with, calling her my girlfriend. She's teasing you because she likes you. It's not a bad thing. What does that even mean? What does that even... Oh, maybe I'm both? She's accepting your frame. That's what it means. If a girl accepts your frame like that, that's not a bad thing. All you got to do from there is give a compliance test. You know what? Let me be the judge of that. Let me find out. Give me your number. Go from there. If a girl is push-pulling me on text, should I tell her I don't fuck with that or just ghost her? If she's push-pulling you, which I highly doubt she is, she's probably just teasing you. Then tease her back. It's fine. If she's shit testing you, that's a different thing. But let me know what she said though, because again, a lot of you are just using words incorrectly or not using them the way the way they should be used. I promise you, she's not push pulling you. She's probably just teasing you or shit testing you, right? But let me know what she said in particular so I can know which one it is. You feel me? Took your advice from a few months ago and started jiu-jitsu. Definitely has made me more confident. Thank you. I'm happy you did that. I'm so happy. Like, it warms my heart whenever I hear you guys actually use the advice I give you. Thank you. And yes, you can see how like it humbles and gives you confidence at the same time, right? It's amazing. It's an amazing tool for that. Don't have much passion for bodybuilding anymore. That tends to happen when you start fighting. Ironically speaking, because it's a different kind of high, first of all, but also you just realize there's longer term benefits for fighting than bodybuilding. Like, when you're a bodybuilder, you really believe the most important thing in your life is get bigger and leaner. But when you're a fighter, you realize not only is that not gonna be good for actually defending yourself, right? This is why, you see bodybuilder versus fighter compilations online, and they're just getting their asses whooped by fighters all the time, right? Because having that much muscle just is not good for moving correctly when it comes to defending yourself. But you also realize that you learn more lessons with fighting than bodybuilding. There's only like 3 lessons to learn in bodybuilding. Embrace the pain, be meticulous, endure hardship. That's really it. You learn all those things in fighting plus a lot more. Because fighting requires a different level of thinking, a different way of thinking, right? The philosophy to fighting is almost chess-like, but at the same time, it forces you to be patient. It forces you to be creative. It forces you to respect other people, right? It forces you to see both the fragility and the resilience in humanity. It's a beautiful thing, right? But yeah, that's kind of how it works. I've had tough moments, high tension in ways I dealt with them. Men I was ready to kill. To deal with disrespect, put them back in their place. And learning how to fight helps with being... it helps. So being bad and not only looking like it, fighter over bodybuilder. Literally, like... just looking dangerous is one thing. Being dangerous is a different level of confidence, right? Because all bodybuilders' confidence stop at a certain point, and that point is when they actually have to rumble, when shit actually hits the fan, when it's them versus life or life versus them, like, you know, because you do all these things preparing so many hours and hours and hours to look a certain way so you avoid a certain situation. But if you actually find yourself in that situation, good luck to you, you know. And guess what? You're a man, so that situation will definitely happen. What's good, Jace? I've been watching all your videos on YouTube and Mr. Locarios too. Sadly, I missed some of your live because of time difference. It's fine, man. I'm happy whenever you're here. At least you're here. That's what matters the most, right? So, we're happy about that. Did you notice a difference in attention when going on dates versus when you're with your girlfriend in public? Like, going on dates versus my girlfriend, like, I don't even understand what that means. Like, going on dates with different girls versus my girls in public? Is that what you mean? I don't really understand, like, the question. Can you clarify that for me? I'm confused. I'm always super cocky with girls because it's fun. But is it really, I already read that one. But yes, it is beneficial. If you said that you love to eat eba in the morning, I would still be here. Samoan efo egusi soup. Egusi soup is probably the best soup, right? So it's egusi, then ewedu, then no, I'm tripping. Egusi, pepper soup, ewedu. Okay, okra. And then ogbono is last, obviously. We don't fuck with ogbono around here. Let's see. What's up, Jace? Love from New England. Oh, what's going on? How you doing, my New Zealanders? How you doing, man? How do you approach a girl who's tall? I already read that one. Would that be considered a shadow? What would be considered a shadow? I'm guessing you wrote something before that, but TikTok took it away. You mind writing it again, but do it in a more PG-friendly way? Jace, I really think that a man can have more than one lady, but women can't have... but women can't. On a mind level, they can't. That's fair. But here's the thing. It's like a biology thing. It's like a focus thing. A man can spread his time and attention across many women. Once a woman likes a guy, that's the only guy she can like. Like, I've heard about these, what do they call them? I forget, the poly something relationships where a woman has more than one guy. Yeah, let me tell you why it's not real, right? Because a woman can only ever be emotionally attached and invested to one guy. Just one. Every other guy, if at all there's other guys, are just backups. They're replacements, right? But a man can be emotionally invested in multiple women at the same time. It's very possible. That's really what it comes down to. People don't like to hear that, but who cares? It's real life. Hey, what's going on, Ryu? How you doing? I care about how I affect people. I think too much. That's fair. But you'll very quickly get over that fear when you realize those people don't care about you as much as you care about them. Trust me. They don't care as much about your feelings as you care about theirs, you know? When it comes to girls that are tall, I always make fun of them for being short. Oh, me too, actually. That's just for fun. Literally, me too. Or I'll make fun of them for claiming their height is shorter. Because every tall girl likes to lie about their height. You know, men lie about being taller, women lie about being shorter. So you see a girl that's 5'10" and she'll say she's 5'7". And I make fun of that every time. It's very funny to me, you know. I've had girls who were dead ass my height. I'm 6'2". Look me in the eyes and call themselves 5'10". I'm like, bitch, we are the same height and you're 6'2". And then it becomes this weird thing where it's like, one of us is lying, right? And it's either I'm the insecure man that needs to be 6'2", or you're the insecure girl that needs to be 5'10". Now, because of the way the world works, right? Most people would rather believe that men will lie about being taller over the fact that women lie about being shorter. Even though I think it's quite the same, like in terms of the number of men to women that lie about their height, I think it's obviously the same. I think there's just as many men that lie about being taller maybe slightly more men, honestly. But in general, I would say there's just a lot of women that lie about being shorter than they really are. Alright, so yeah, keep that in mind. I notice when imprinting girls, I don't just compete with other guys in her past. I also try to just be the most emotionally consequential thing that has ever happened in her life. Literally, that's what an imprint requires. But again, like, don't forget what I told you, Ryu. Like, you gotta have impact in her in more ways than one. You can't imprint a girl that you haven't slept with, you know. So keep that in mind. Guys use it and write on their girls attacking me. What are we talking about? Oh, like when they're trying to attack you for your beliefs? Yeah. Imagine my life, Jace. A lot of weak men around me. That's everyone's life, if you really think about it. I mean, most men in the world are weak, right? And the world rewards them for it, right? Especially, like, here on TikTok is a great example. Like, a lot of men dedicate their entire content to being relatable. And that tells you right there, they have no fucking core. Because if you had a core, then you would know the point isn't to find everybody. The point is to find your own specific kind of people. But I digress. Let's see. Is that bad? It feels unnecessary, but I do it anyway. And in terms of like the imprinting thing, yeah. That's literally how it works. It's not even a matter of is it bad or good. If you're not becoming one of the most important or most consequential things in her life, you're not imprinting correctly enough. Let's see. How do you distinguish between... I already read that one. Was why I stayed. Oh, okay. Would you consider imprinting as a form of providing, as in the 7 gifts? If so, is it only back end? Imprinting is only back end. The front end helps, but it's really only back end. You know, it's really only back end. You really can't start imprinting until you get to that point. Everything before that point is just a prerequisite, you know. How can I learn more about frames or understanding what you're talking about? Go to my YouTube and type in Jace the Pickup Scientist frame. You'll see my videos on that. Get the life to 10K. Oh, you guys are almost there. Thank you. How do I become the most consequential man, overtake every ex? Can you make a PDF or video guide or online game to date or Snapchat, Instagram, or how to make a good social media profile for like the interview, like upgrade, please, intention? I'm already doing that, so you know it's called digital pre-selection, so don't worry about all that. But becoming the most consequential guy just means being the guy that makes her feel the most intense and variety of emotions. That's all it means. So it all comes down to your actions and how willing you are to make her feel the best around you and the worst around you. Good emotions, bad emotions, short period of time. That's all it comes down to. How you do that practically is going to depend solely on the situation you have with that girl, right? It's all about, thanks for the gifts, by the way. It's all about the things that you're willing to do in front of her that make sense to her. Like, this is why it's something I can't really give you, like, do this step by step, because it depends on the relationship you have with her, and it depends on what is, in her mind, the most consequential thing that's happened to her, right? It's very tricky. Let's see. How does one stop psychologically being a child? You start doing adult shit. It's easy. Start taking on adult level responsibilities. When there's stressful events in her life giving her tension, is it necessary for you to be worse? Worse and best. Worse and best. Quite necessary, yeah. Worse and best. If you're like, oh, but that's so much, that's the point. That's why imprinting is a hard thing. It's not easy. If imprinting were easy, every girl would be imprinted. And it would be so easy to undo imprints. which, kind of defeats the point of them, right? So, yeah, that's kind of how it works. You should be the most consequential thing in her life, to the point where all the other high tension things happening in her life are pushed to the side, or like are almost in the background of her life compared to you. Do girls like it when a guy is too playful? Not too playful, but I wouldn't worry about what girls like when it comes to your playfulness. If you're a playful person and you like being playful, that's okay. You don't have to worry about if girls like it or not. Yo, Jace, what would you recommend to do? Start fighting and stop bodybuilding? Can you keep going? Keep doing both? Have the capacity to do well in fighting? You can do both. You can definitely do both. But I will tell you right now, in order to get really good at one, you have to deaden or lessen the other. Right? So if you want to get really good at fighting in a short period of time, you might have to focus on just that and forget bodybuilding for a while. Or if you want to really pursue some major goals in bodybuilding, then you're going to have to abandon fighting for a while. It depends on what you're willing to give up to get the other. Let's see. Antichrist shocking machine. What the hell is that Antichrist shocking machine? What are we talking about there? Absolutely, jiu-jitsu especially has so many variables to it. It makes no sense to me, which is why it's more fun than striking or bodybuilding. Yes, jiu-jitsu is very fun. It's a chess match in there, man. Let's see. The thing about guys not having a core. What were we talking about? Would that be considered a shadow? Your shadow is a part of you that's hidden from you. That part can be good or bad. Like, that's what people don't seem to understand. When Nietzsche came up with it, was it Nietzsche or Jung? Was it Carl Jung? I think it was Carl Jung, actually. But the concept of a shadow isn't always like the more negative part of you. In fact, sometimes for some people, the shadow is the positive side of them, because they're so outwardly evil and negative. Does that make sense? I don't know if you said anything about anything, but I missed your answer on being a man. Oh, I said, if you want to start being a man and stop being a kid, start doing manly shit. Start taking on man-like responsibilities. That's how you do it. Let's see. Antichrist soccer machine. Okay, there we go. Facts, bro. Indeed. There are even damn shoes that make you look taller. Sure, you can do that if you want. When you're imprinting during bad feelings, should your touch be scarce? Cause anchoring, yes, it can be. You don't have to follow that rule too strongly. Anchoring and bad emotions only matter in the front end. In the back end, it's whatever, really. In fact, in some cases, you want to anchor the negative emotions with some touch, because then you have the positive emotions anchored to you, the negative emotions anchored to you, and that's the whole point of imprinting. So it's whatever. You don't have to follow that rule strictly. How to know if you're a girl's backup, and how to deal with a girl that's emotionally invested in someone else or is traumatized. I wouldn't worry about knowing or finding out if you're the backup. Just do what you need to do to run your game correctly and get her to invest in you more. And again, it goes back to what I was just talking about. Positive and negative emotions in a short period of time. Make her feel both good around you and bad around you in a short period of time. How do I stop being weak? You start being strong. Nah, but seriously, the way you remove weakness from yourself is to meet resistance where you see it, right? So what exactly makes you strong is how much resistance you can withstand. Whether it's physical strength, whether it's emotional strength, spiritual strength, psychological strength. The way you test and measure the strength of anything and anyone in any realm of endeavor is the amount of resistance they can withhold. That's it. That is it. So begin to meet resistance and power through resistance, all different kinds of resistance. That's how you get stronger. Okay? I think that pouring water on a chick's face can be a mini imprinting move. Why? It's not the pouring water that makes it an imprinting move. It's why you're doing it. Why are you doing it? Right? Why are you doing it? The context matters. Good ass music. Obviously the game is the reason, not violence or the shit. Sure, but what is the context behind what would make you just pour water in a girl's face? Why would you do that? Besides, you don't even have to, like, especially in the back end. The best thing about the back end of game is that you don't have to get to the point where you're always the one creating the tension all the time. Life will do that for you naturally. You know? Let's see. Warm approach game advice in a professional, politically correct industry. Oof. It's a politically correct industry, so you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb because you're not politically correct. Right? With that said, though, get ready for a lot of hate and backlash and a lot of visits to the HR department. You know? So, good luck with that. Like, having it in a warm approach probably hurts you more than if you were to just do cold approaches instead. Because of the environment. Like, the environment you're in is cool for getting girls if you want to do that, but understand, like, it's also the environment you make a living in. So it's a little trickier because of that. You know what I mean? It's almost better to just do more cold approaches than anything. Let's see. Jiu-Jitsu or MMA? You can focus solely on Jiu-Jitsu first and then transition into MMA afterwards. Let's see. How important is the book The Way of the Superior Man by David Data? It's a good book. It's an important book. I wouldn't call it as important as Sperm Wars, but it's very important. Right? If I had to give it like a number on the depth chart, it would be like number 7. It's a good book. How often do you break eye contact to push-pull? 80-20? If I'm gonna break... hold on. Oh, my bad. Let me see. There we go. If I'm gonna break eye contact, it's not gonna be to push-pull. Does that make sense? Like, that's not what I would do it for. That's 1. 2, if I'm gonna push-pull, I'm gonna do it as often as I need compliance for the next level of the conversation. Right? I'm always good, like, it's throughout whenever you're talking to a girl. You should always be teasing anyway. It should always be filled with teasing and playful banter and all that good stuff. So 80% of the time, honestly, is a bit of overkill for most conversations. A good 40, maybe 30% of the time is more than enough. You know? What makes up for the efficacy of the push-pull is how strong it is. That way you don't have to do it too many times. You just have to do it enough times. Does that make sense? Let's see. Girl rejects my advances but always gives me choosing signals and is nervous when I talk to her. Rejects your advances is all I need to hear. Everything else is unnecessary. She don't fuck with you. I don't care what signals you got. She don't fuck with you. Yeah, like, end of the day, if you can't move things along with her, if you can't move things forward, you're wasting your time. She's just dragging attention out of you. She doesn't really like you. She's just using you for free attention. Are there nonverbal things that we should focus on? Lying, slowing down your body movements. Oh, is that what you mean? Like slowing down your body movements? This is how I always say it. Your body language will be on point if you do 2 things. 1, improve your confidence. If you understand and move through life understanding that you are the baddest motherfucker on the planet, you will move and act like it. That's 1. All right. 2, train something. Bodybuilding, martial arts, something. Train your body. If you train your body, the muscles that'll develop naturally in your body will make you move correctly anyway. Right? Does that make sense? Like, that's how you end up having the correct body language. Like, a lot of what people call attractive body language is really just the body language of someone that trained too hard that day and is sore everywhere. So like me, naturally, I sit down very slowly, or I cross my legs very slowly, or my body language is always, like, even right now, you probably can't see it, but my leg is like literally up on the side of my car. Like, it's just sitting there. I'm always spread out and all that stuff. But it's not because I'm thinking, how do I appear alpha right now? It's because I train so hard, I have to find creative ways to lie down and move so that I'm not feeling pain all the time. That's really it. So if you just train something long enough, you'll move correctly. I promise you. You know? When gaming traumatizing women, I experienced it a lot harder. Gaming traumatized women. Okay, that makes more sense. I experienced it a lot harder. Experienced what exactly? I have no idea what we're talking about there. How long have I been live? About an hour, I think. And imprinting is a lot harder because you have to push further. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But yes, you're right. That's true. Imprinting is a lot harder on traumatized women because traumatized women have essentially been imprinted. That's why they're traumatized, right? So, yeah, good luck with that. First week I tried to run my normal game in my nursing course. I got reported 3 times by some NPCs who overheard me and got offended. Yeah, that makes sense. You're in a politically correct environment. That's going to happen. I mean, I already told you before I even saw this question, you're going to get a lot of visits to HR. You want to know why I know that? Because I have done that. I've gotten fired from at least 2 jobs because of dating in the office or at the workplace. You know what I mean? So when you're a guy like us, that just comes with it. That's why you got to lean on cold approach. You know, cold approach is going to be your best source of income, woman income, if you want to think about it like that. Do deeply traumatized women require Genghis Khan stop imprinting? No, not necessarily, but they do require, you know, a lot more severe push-pulls, you know? And when I say push-pulls, I'm not just talking about the actual sentences. I'm talking about shifts in emotion, strong negative and strong positive emotions. You feel me? Let's see. But all good. Just won't risk it in a professional industry place. Yes, please don't. Just cold approach. Can you list a few of the best books you've ever read for life overall? I have a book recommendations list. Start with that. It's on YouTube. But I've also read a few good for life in general. The Bible, it's got to be one. Specifically, the books of Proverbs, the books of Ecclesiastes, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Corinthians, Revelations, Kings. First and Second Kings is pretty good. I like Exodus. I like that one too. Yeah, so pretty much almost all the Bible. And then let's see. What are the regular earthly books? Okay, The Science of Getting Rich, Walter D. Waddles. Also Harder, Hustle Smarter, 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson. The 50th Law, which is a book written by both 50 Cent and Robert Greene. The Concise Laws of Human Nature, also by Robert Greene. Very good book. Introduction to NLP. David Banner, I believe, right, co-writes that with I forget the co-writer's name. And then let's see. Nah. No, we can't talk about that book right here. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. Let's see. How do you go about integrating your shadow, and also finding it? The whole point of finding your shadow has more to do with understanding your most honest self. That's really what your shadow is. Understanding the parts of you that you like to keep repressed, or the parts of you that you think you're doing a good job of hiding from other people. Does that make sense? A good place to look is your childhood. Because a big chunk of your personality right now is really just trying to... Thanks for the gift, by the way. A big chunk of your personality right now is just an overcompensation from the weak, vulnerable little child that you were. So whatever you are right now is essentially the person you would have felt safe with as a child. And that person that you are, that personality you've created, is a covering for your shadow. Does that make sense? Once you peel back those layers, you'll understand who your shadow is, what your shadow is. And incorporating that is just finding ways to make that add value to you and other people. Nah, Jay, stop, bro. Leak the fucking book. Leak the book, he says. Let me put it like this. Read anything by Carl Jung. I'm not even going to say names. Literally read anything by Carl Jung. Talk about finding your shadow, right? Read anything by Carl Jung. It'll expose to you the deep nature of human beings, how fucked up we are, how greedy we are, how impulsive we really are, and how incentivized we are by our, biological impulses and our general biological imperative, right? Read anything by Carl Jung. And get some Friedrich Nietzsche in there while you're at it. Read those books. Are there nonverbal things that we should focus on? Already read that one. Man, you speak some serious truth. I try to. Could you give us a demonstration of the rhythm you would keep when doing bed wars? Oh, very simple. For those of you that were on TikTok a few years ago, you understand that joke. But listen, man, rhythm is a personal thing. It's not something I can teach you. Rhythm and timing, it's not something that you can learn from other people. It's something you discover on your own. Because everyone has their own. So the real advice I would give you there is practice. Get as much practice under your belt. Jung and Nietzsche will turn you into a villain, for real. Have you read the Red Book, by the way? That was the first. For real. Like, they will turn you into fucking villains. Villains. I mean, villains, less villains, more like just accepting that you are evil. You are inherently evil, and that's not a bad thing if you know how to use it. Because we all have the capacity for light and dark within us. Now, someone wants to be taught rhythm by Jays. Pause, dog. Hey, I get it, man. I have some of the best on the planet. But yeah. I know a lot of girls who use men. What makes girls use men and how to avoid it or even counterattack it. Every woman is using you. All of them. Even your own mother is using you. They're all using you. Trying to find a way to not be used by women is trying to find a way to not have women in your life. That's kind of the point. It's like all women will use you. All of them. There's no woman that won't. What you should be worried about is that you're not getting as much use out of them as they're getting out of you. In fact, the only reason a woman will fuck with you is because she wants to use you. When we talk about having value or demonstrating value, what are we really talking about? What is value? It's utility. So women only choose you based on your utility to begin with. But don't feel bad, because guess what? You too choose women based on their utility. Don't deceive yourself now. Don't act like you're the victim here. You will use that woman just as much as she uses you. So the real question isn't how do I stop them from using me? It's okay if they use you. The real question is, how can I make sure I'm getting just as much use, or preferably even more use out of them than they're getting out of me? That's the real question. And the answer to that question, by the way, is make sure that they see you as consequential and attractive. Because that's really the difference. The difference between how women treat attractive versus unattractive men is they'll use both. But with the attractive men, they don't mind being used by in return. With the unattractive men, they refuse to be used by in return. That's the main difference. What was your favorite Carl Jung book in terms of depth or impact on you? First of all, do I have a favorite? I'm going to make that video. I'm going to make a video of the rankings of all the Jung books I've read. I haven't read all of them, but I've read 3 of them. I'm going to make a ranking of all. You know, should I make that video or should I read the rest first? Because I made a mistake, guys. Let me tell you the mistake I made. I started to study Carl Jung and Neville Goddard at the same time. That's a fucking mind trip. For anyone that's actually studied both their works, holy shit. That's a big mistake. I say mistake tongue-in-cheek, obviously, but it's a fucking trip to do both at the same time, you know? So keep that in mind. Should you be imprinting every day if a girl is traumatized? Like, should it constantly be shifting good to bad? Don't think about it like an everyday thing. It's not a routine you got to keep to. The opportunities to leave massive impact will come naturally. Use them as they come. Okay? At this point, just call your book the Genghis Khan method. That's funny. Maybe. Are you done with the diabolical? I read diabolical. My bad. Are you done with biblical game series? No, I'm not. Is there a way I can snap girls out of taking advantage of taking advantage by dudes that just try to use and abuse them? Like, you want to snap them out of it? The only way to do that is to become the guy that uses and abuses them, but then just choose not to use and abuse them, right? Well, use them, but just don't abuse them, right? But, yeah, that's the only way. You have to become the consequential guy. The reason that guy can use and abuse her is because he's the most consequential guy in her life. Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. That's just, you know, he's playing the game correctly, you know? How do you make her still love you while cheating? Would there be any love lost? Nah, there wouldn't be. Like, once you make women understand that it's all just one giant social norm thing, it's all in the past, you know? I mean, don't get it twisted. Women will always feel some degree of, like, you know, betrayal every time you're with another woman. But it doesn't take the love away. It doesn't take the trust away. It definitely doesn't take the attraction away. It just makes them, like, a little uncomfortable in the competition anxiety. Does that make sense? That's the only thing that's, like, negative there, is the competition anxiety. But again, I say negative tongue-in-cheek because it's never a bad thing when a woman thinks she has to compete for your time and attention. It's not a bad thing. Let's see. Hey, what's going on, Nep? How you doing? I gotta go soon, guys. I have to go soon. I gotta make a video before I leave, before I go back upstairs, about on the latest episode of The Boys. Make a video on attachment theory too, and BPD bipolar if they're worth trying to get with. First of all, every girl to some degree has some varying capacity for BPD or bipolar disorder. What we call bipolar disorder is just women shifting their emotions quickly from one point to another, which is what every woman does. So, duh. Second of all, attachment theory is useless because women change their attachment style depending on the guy they're dealing with. So I don't count that as concrete science. Huey went crazy this episode. Yes, he did. What are your thoughts on A-Train's redemption arc, and is A-Train a protector or provider? A-Train is a protector type because he's going against Homelander. He was a provider type the entire time when he was just Homelander's lackey, right? Just doing things to get by while he goes by. But now that he has the balls to stand up against Homelander, that's some protector type shit. You can see the transformation happening. It's dope. I like it. Now the fight between him and Homelander, I don't know how that's gonna go. But he's fast though. He's fast. He can get away if he needs to, you know? You said the biggest compliance ever of a girl is sacrificing herself, right? Have you ever gotten to the point, or at least very close to it? Well, I've never had a girl kill herself for me, or sacrifice her life for me, if that's what you're asking. But I've had women give me sacrifices that have been massive sacrifices for them, like massive. I've had girls do everything from change religions for me, to move cities and states for me, to fucking defy their entire culture and family and tradition for me, you know. So yeah, I've done all those things, and it's never easy for them, but I always make it worth their while, so it's fine. Fast because I have a female bestie that tells me stories of all the unattractive guys she uses and hardly gives back anything in return. Exactly. That's exactly how unattractive guys get used by women. How to get past the admiring when you first see a pretty woman before cold approaching. There's nothing wrong with admiring a beautiful woman. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with telling them you find them attractive either. Like, it's not a bad thing to find a hot woman hot. What's bad is telling her that you now like her as a result of her hotness. You can tell her she's hot. You can tell her you find her attractive, but then follow that up with, but you know, I don't know you from a hole in the wall. Or you do give me crazy girl vibes. Like, follow it up with something that pulls away. That way, she still has a reason to chase your validation. Right? That's really why, that's why it's bad to give a woman too many compliments in the beginning, because it over-validates them too quickly. And they have to have a reason to chase your validation. Because if you give them your validation for free, then they have no reason, you know? The new episode is so fire, you're gonna love it. I've already seen it. It's fucking dope. It's crazy. Thanks for the gift, by the way. Appreciate that. Let's see. I feel like I have both a protector and a provider side that are at war with each other. Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't know how to deal with it. Put it like this. Your protector side should be leading most of the time. Your provider side should be there to stop you from going too far. Right? But then your protector side should also be the one that dictates what the too far is. We all have the capacity for great danger and evil, guys. What makes you a bitch is if you're willing to show that side a lot less often than more. Does that make sense? I think he'll die in a heroic way, since his whole arc is about becoming a real hero. Sure. I hope it's like a self-sacrifice kind of death, though. Not like a Homelander kills him like a bitch kind of death. You know what I mean? I hope it's like a proper self-sacrifice kind of death. I haven't seen Vinland Saga, by the way. I haven't seen Vinland Saga. Which I've heard I should watch it. So, my bad for not watching it yet. But, you know, I haven't seen it yet. Say you need to game a girl, an average girl, like a 7. Should we be complimenting and stuff more than we would a 10? Yes. Yes, you should. Because otherwise, she's not going to survive the tension. But yeah, I gotta go, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I do have to bounce like right now. For those of you that don't have my free course yet, Self-Belief, please go and get my free course, Self-Belief. If you need to learn how to completely incorporate a girl into your life from scratch, I have an entire course for it called The Interview. If you want to get on the phone with me, schedule a call with me, all those links are in my bio. It's my link tree. Click on that. You'll see all those nice things. Go from there. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please actually use all the information I give you and practice your game consciously, okay? Do with all this information what you must.